must be some sort of sick and twisted bastard, as I could watch Guts decapitate horses and cut soldiers in half all day long. And unfortunately for the brand new Berserk anime series, it's going to be coming to an end pretty soon. Apparently this season is only going to be 12 episodes long, and for fans of the Berserk manga series, this is a total bummer. This is a manga series which has been running for well over 3 decades, and they're gonna give us only 12 episodes? Fuck that. Honestly, I might be jumping the gun a little bit here. There is the possibility that we are going to get another season next year, maybe even sometime later in the year, although I highly doubt that's going to happen. I don't know if this has to do with ratings or the fact that the fan base really isn't enjoying this adaptation of Berserk. It's still really a mystery as to whether this story is going to continue in anime format. For those who really wanted to see the Berserker armor, this is definitely a huge letdown, especially for me. That's like the one thing that I wanted to see from the brand new Berserk anime series, and they've already teased the fact that the Berserker armor is going to appear in this series from the first episode when you see characters who are probably not even going to be introduced in this season whatsoever. Not to mention, this series is sort of like a loose continuation of the Berserk movie trilogy, and every single movie in that trilogy opened up with a lot of imagery from the manga, even going as far as to showing Guts in his Berserker armor. We might not ever see this thing in animated form, and that kinda sucks. That being said, this week's episode was metal as hell! Now, mind you, not that much happened and it was a very simple story. Essentially, Nina and Casca, after escaping from this evil cult, decide to run back to that cult because Nina's an absolute moron. But luckily, the Holy See and the Iron Chain Knights are going to be going after this cult, not to mention Guts himself, who makes one hell of an entrance at the end of this week's episode. Without a doubt, the biggest highlight of this episode, though, is just seeing Guts do what he does best, which is just letting the bodies hit the damn floor. This dude is so freaking awesome with his massive sword. That scene at the beginning of the episode when the Holy Iron Chain Knights are torturing people and hitting them with whips, and then Guts just walks in, picks up a soldier by the face, and then proceeds to wipe out all of them and their horses with just one big swing of his sword, satisfying as hell. I mean, we've already seen scenes in the series where Guts has actually decapitated a horse, but for him to take his sword, swing it once in a big circle, and take out the heads of horses and soldiers all at once is just so damn satisfying. Even Isidro is just getting a boner watching all of this shit. And it's without a doubt the best thing about this episode. In fact, I would say that the final action scene when Guts finally comes in and he attacks the cult and the goat head creature and all of those humans who are being possessed by demons is gotta be one of my favorite animated Berserk moments ever. It's just so stylistic, so explosive, and so violent, and so kick-ass. So like I said, the main story this week is that Casca is going to be sort of the ceremonial witch of this disgusting orgy-like cult which is run by the Great Goathead and some other mysterious creature which has been hanging out in the shadows for the last couple of episodes. And in order for her to become like the big member of this group, she's going to have to consummate, which is to say she's going to have to fuck the goat dude, which is just all sorts of disgusting and of course brings to mind all of those disgusting memories of her being raped by all of those apostles and demons and of course Griffith himself in the first parts of the series. But really it's all just a build-up to seeing Guts return, and the build-up to it is awesome because the Goathead guy gets a big upgrade when he sees this weird mysterious creature like attack him with this weird pointy object which powers him up and he just starts destroying everything left and right, and then Guts just comes in like a bat out of hell, running past soldiers, destroying everything in his wake, and then he just jumps up, comes down, and cuts the thing's arm off, and maybe even presumably it's Snake Dick. Yeah, remember the Snake Dick? It's back in this episode, and it's got an even bigger role. But it gets even better when they have this amazing shot where he's surrounded by all of these possessed humans, and you see the perspective of him holding the sword as he swings it around as it goes into every single demon, just filleting them, slicing and dicing them up into this cornucopia of blood. It is awesome, and it is so classic Berserk, and it's one of the big reasons to check out this week's episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Berserk? A very simple one. Lots of creepy cults, Casca and Guts have their big reunion, and lots of great scenes of Guts just fucking people up. Aside from just all of the cool kick-ass action and all of the creepy imagery, I think my favorite thing about this episode is probably Puck and Isidro. These two characters almost don't seem like they fit in the Berserk universe. There are a lot of moments with Puck in this episode, like when he's flying going after Guts and he's moving so fast that his face is actually distorting, that just seems so anime-like that it doesn't fit into the whole Berserk aesthetic. And then of course there's Isidro, who just like Puck is very over the top, very funny and boisterous, but damned if he isn't a refreshing character, because this series can be really draining, especially because all of the imagery is just so disturbing. That's the way it is in the manga too, and that's why characters like Puck and Isidro are just needed for a series like this. They bring a lot of humor to this show, which is otherwise very humorless, and I really appreciate that. Now that I see it in anime form, it's something that I'm really getting behind, and Isidro's already becoming one of my favorite characters. I basically tolerated him in the manga, but seeing him in the anime version, he's freaking great. He's hilarious, and he's a great compliment to the rest of this show, as is Puck, who just seeing him interact with Isidro is great, especially the fact that Puck acts as sort of like the handler, or at least that's what he says, of Guts and Isidro, and it's just really funny to see him do all that shit. But like I said, the highlights of this episode is Guts just destroying soldiers and fighting against monsters. It's so satisfying. I love the impact. I love the stylized look of all of his attacks, and I love the sounds that it makes. It's just so boom in your face. And that's what I love about this anime series. It's a decent adaptation of Berserk. And the good news is, if you don't like it, you can always read the manga version. So, Berserk fans, make sure to check out this episode. Make sure to check out the rest of the series. You might actually see something you like. As a score for this week's episode, I'm going to drop a 4 out of 5 on this one. Despite the fact that there were some cool moments, there were a lot of other moments that went a little slow, and there are some characters that, frankly, I just don't like. I hate the character of Nina. I absolutely despise her. Then again, I despised her in the manga version too. She's completely detestable. That being said, this was a wholly satisfying episode of Berserk, which you should definitely check out. You heard my thoughts about this week's episode, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about this week's episode of Berserk? Did you like the action scenes like I did? Did you have a favorite scene from this episode, whether it be something funny, creepy, or action-packed? And what do you want to see from the remaining episodes of this Berserk season? Please tell me in the comments section below. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for watching this review. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to follow all of our stuff on social media. Thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby.